What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Weekenders. This is the show where we talk about football, brought to you by Multiplicity Media, of course. And I'm Max, joined by Lexi, Bobby. Happy to be here to talk football. And we got a couple things on the slate. This episode and the next few episodes, we're going to be previewing the divisions in the NFL and also the conferences in college football. So you'll all of our content from here on out is going to pretty much be that. But and so I'll tell you, at the top of the show, we're going to preview the AFC North today. Lots of fun. We're looking forward to that. But yesterday, because we're recording this on a Friday, yesterday the NFL schedule came out. So I think it would be great to give some takes on the schedule and then jump right into the preview of the AFC North. So I'm going to open up the floor to my wonderful co-hosts and ask you guys this question. First of all, NFL schedule release. I feel like every year everyone kind of makes it a really big deal. Do you feel like the whole occasion of the release of dates and times and games on the calendar is overhyped, or do you guys enjoy the excitement around it?
I mean, I wish that they would wait to reveal all of it, because I know you get like, oh, here's all your opponents, but you don't know when you play them or what order. Like, if it was revealed all at once, I think it would be totally worth the hype. But it's like, I do like how all the social media teams released it this year. Like, shout out to the Titans for having by far the funniest one ever I've ever seen. So I like that they're like stirring it up a little bit and it's not so basic, but I just wish it was all like revealed at once because I think that would be like a really like drum roll excitement.
Yeah, I think already knowing the teams kind of takes away some of the surprise because you know who you're playing, you just don't know when. I will say in terms of the level of hype that's justified. I think it's probably the one that's more justified than like let's say like the NBA. You know you're playing 82 games, so why is there hype around that? The teams they're playing, but with the NFL, it's like that's a pretty big deal, at least. So I think it can be more exciting, but the occasion certainly isn't. They're not the most egregious overhypers.
Yeah, the social media videos I love, like from the social media teams. The Panthers always do really funny stuff. But yeah, the Titans blew everyone out of the water. That was hilarious. I loved that video. I shared that with like so many people. It was such a funny video the Titans did, but
It was so good.
it was so good.
And I gotta say,
But
I like that all of the teams on Twitter, like Atlanta Falcons, like changed their name to the Red Stallions, or Colts were like not Cowboys.
and look, I'll say this with the Titans video reveal: it's a lesson to everybody who makes these overproduced, expensive videos. Just do something like that. You can just be funny. What you had a tiny USB mic, and and you got the best one. That's such an easy deal, and you just think out of the box, be creative. No need to.
I mean, I need to know how much that cost because it was probably like nothing because it
Yeah.
just was like cutting to the thing and then doing the Monday Night Football or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, that was the best. I'll say the one complaint I have about like NFL schedule release time is all the and I tweeted this as well, but all the reporters that try to be like Shams and Woj and like leak some of the games early. I'm like, dude, it's not that serious. Just wait until like 8 o'clock or whatever it is. So when the games come out, like I don't care that like the schedule leaks. I'm like, who cares? Like, it's not that serious. Like I really hate that, but. Yeah, I think the release, hype and everything is so interesting, and it's. I think the funnest part is like going to look and see like, what are the primetime games? What are the Thanksgiving games? I'm sure like, stuff like that is always fun to go see when the schedule first comes out. But which game are you guys most excited about? The rule is you can't pick your favorite team, so I know Bobby kind of roots for the NFL in general. Like you kind of like the Oklahoma
You can't
guys,
choose
but
the
we don't have a
Texans.
team. But yeah, Bobby can't choose the
Oh
Texans.
no!
I
Shucks.
Besides your favorite team or affiliations or whatever, your favorite game on the schedule this year.
Is it cheap to pick KC and Philly? Because I'm excited to see them play again. Getting a Super Bowl rematch. It doesn't happen every year because of how the AFC and NFC don't play each other. Every team doesn't play everyone naturally. So getting that rematch, I think, is going to be incredibly fun to watch. And to me, that's one I have circled for sure.
Yeah. I'm actually excited to watch Texans and the Colts matchup this year. You got like Anthony Richardson that they're going to be having behind, and you got C.J. Stroud, and it's just going to be kind of just interesting to see who kind of comes out on top in those games. So I'm looking forward to that one to see how both of them produce against each
The
other.
Texans and the Texas Cowboys. The fact that the Colts got called the Cowboys twice.
Like what? They were so certain too. They're like, "Oh yeah, Cowboys." I'm like, "Oh, it's got to be the Star, right?" Like
The Texans was really funny to me. No,
I
somebody
like how
saw.
the Jaguars don't really exist
the,
either.
ja-
Yeah,
the Jaguars having don't really exist as one, and then the other one being Chester Cheeto.
Or Lightning McQueen.
no. What got me was like Lightning McQueen was hilarious, and then it was like Texans, and then the other person was like, "That's the Patriots. That's definitely the Patriots." Just
Bulls or Patriots?
yeah, exactly, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Shout out to the North Carolina Tigers, by the way. A black cat is definitely a tiger. oh,
Hey, at least it was
but,
a random person on the street and not one of your wide receivers, not knowing what the animal
yeah,
was.
that's much better than that. What's that bear doing?
It was a bear. That's Sir Purr, dude.
Oh gosh. Okay,
Oh, and then
so
I love just the football logo.
oh yes, gosh. Every answer was so funny, man. Like,
I
Oh.
know. I'm just so happy I saw
that's
that.
such a good video. Okay, so yeah, I mean, my favorite, the game that I'm most excited about, I mean, it's I try to be realistic because like some of those games that are further on in the schedule, like things change, trades happen, injuries happen, so like you're like, oh man, I'm so excited for this Week 11 game, but then it ends up being completely different than what you thought it would be. So I like to look. I get more excited about games that are earlier in the schedule. So I'm really excited about Week 1. You get Bills and Jets on Monday Night Football. I really like that as a standalone game because, um, you know, this is for like Jets fans and people that are rooting for Aaron Rodgers or whatever. Like, I think this is going to be a good litmus test for to see like where that team is at with Aaron Rodgers against the team in the Bills that have, been a Super Bowl contender, for the last 3 or 4 seasons now. You expect the Bills to win the AFC East again. So I think that as a Week 1 matchup is going to be great, and I'm sure the Jets fans are going to be like, super super hyped for that game. So I'm looking forward to watching that one the most. I think.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, just the
Oh
Jets in general, because I'm just going to be so intrigued to see how the chips
Yeah, there's
fall.
no way all that hype backfires. Zero chance. Zero chance.
Yeah,
Zero
zero,
chance.
zero, zero. You bring everyone you want to your team, and you end up doing terrible. That's not going to happen at all.
The Jets. Oh.
well, we kind of already talked about like I mean some of our favorite games we just mentioned are primetime games. Was there any? So if you don't have an answer for this, then it's fine. But were there any other like primetime specific games that you guys are really excited about?
I mean, for me, it's definitely going to be the Super Bowl rematch. Like, that's probably going to be. And you say we can't pick our favorite teams, but my team opening up against the Super Bowl champs on Thursday night is also pretty big. Gonna set the tone early, so.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that though. Like the
Yeah.
Lions were anointed the season opener against the Kansas City Chiefs. Out of all the teams that they could have picked to
And
start the
we opened
season
against
with.
Philly last year, so it's like, I mean, we didn't know they were going to be in the Super Bowl, but
Yeah,
still.
this is the Lions, and then the Lions get 3 more primetime games on top of that. All this attention for a team that was just on the brink of making the playoffs last year, and now I guess the NFL schedule making makers are saying, you know what, Lions, you've given the world a lot of reasons to like you. We're going to give you a chance to be to show this year that you guys can be great with all these primetime games. I'm sure Lions fans don't know what to do with themselves by having so many
We had
primetime
none
games.
last year. Well, the Packers got flexed into the night game at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So going from 0 to 4, I'm like, what is happening? What is this? I don't know what this feels like.
So my question is, like, let's put it out there: will the Lions live up to all this hype with all this prime time and glitz and glamour? Are the Lions going to deliver? Bobby, you go first.
Yeah,
Go
It
you go
depends
first,
on what.
Bobby.
ahead, Bobby.
I mean, it's that conference is so not impressive, especially with Rodgers out. Everything going on in Green Bay being a disaster. Still don't believe in the Bears. The Vikings, we'll see how they do. They always are. I mean, they're the leader of that division, but it's not exactly firm. So, I mean, there's an opportunity there, but I feel like when a team's almost this hyped, ready to make that leap, it never quite goes the way you expect. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see, but I don't know. I will say, in terms of primetime games and the Lions, I have a get off my lawn, old man type of take. The fact that they're playing on December 30th, moved a college football New Year's Six bowl game like off of the primetime slot. What's going on with that? That's
Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't even know that.
yeah,
What the
no,
heck?
Lions. It's Lions and Cowboys on a Saturday on December 30th. They moved the Orange Bowl up because the NFL just getting in the way. Get out of here, NFL. This is nothing is
Yeah.
sacred.
Nothing. So I think that as long as they can continue their energy that they had at the end of the season, I mean, when they won 8 out of the last 9, they were on fire. Yes, we lost Jamal Williams, but we got Montgomery. We got Gibbs in the draft. So I think that our running game isn't going to really skip a beat. Now, having Jamison out the first 6 games isn't ideal, but I just feel like everyone is so bought in, and I don't care about the media and the hype. These players that want to come play here, that's never happened ever, like in my lifetime. Players want to come back. Marvin Jones Jr. We're adding more weapons and not really losing anything in the meantime. And if long as we can stay healthy, I don't think we start at 1-6 again. And I mean, if we didn't start 1-6, we would have been in the playoffs last year, plain and simple. Because you're right, Bobby. The North is very weak, and I do not trust the Vikings and Kirk Cousins because I feel like he just finessed all that money out of the NFL as it is. But it's ours for the taking. So it's gonna be as much as I have not won a playoff game since '91. It's gonna be a letdown of a season if they don't at least make it to the playoffs, and I'd even say win a game with how much talent you've got and with everyone buying in and everything. That you got to just make it work. You got to make it happen.
Yeah, I think the Lions do live up to the hype for everything that Lexi said, but then also like their schedule looks it like the thing about looking at a schedule, and again, I like to focus on the first half rather than the second half because after the trade deadline and everything, like you don't know what happens. But I mean, looking at the first few weeks, the games are very winnable, and then even like the tougher opponents, aside from the Chiefs, like you have them at home. So like you have Seattle at home. The Falcons is a very winnable game. The Packers, we don't know what type of team that they'll be. I think they'll be able to win that game. You've got the Panthers and a rookie quarterback at home. Buccaneers are should be a win. At Ravens, it's a tougher game, but then Raiders who can be sort of that frisky team. You get them at home, and then a lot of the games that might be tough a little later on. Um, like, who knows, the Broncos or whatever. Like, that's a home game as well. So I feel like the stretch that will sort of be interesting for the Lions is going to be those last 3 weeks when you have the Vikings twice and then the Cowboys in the middle of that. With that, December 30th game we just talked about, Bobby. But yeah, I think the Lions are going to be a very good team this year. The schedule looks uh, pretty manageable. I think the North is going to be, the Lions and Vikings pretty much leading it all year. And I feel like it was good intuition by the NFL schedule makers to give the Lions a few more games, and we'll see what happens. And they'll just have to go out there and get it. But I like the Lions a lot this year.
Yeah, I think it's weird too that like one of our interdivision rivals in the Vikings, we don't play 2 out of the last 3 games of the season. Like, how did you not like put? It's so weird to me. Like, at least one sprinkled in there early. Like, so I guess we have a lot of time to prepare, but they also have a lot of time to prepare for us. So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like that has happened to the Panthers a lot. I don't know if that's been like
It happened
every
to the
team.
Bears with the Bears and Lions. We played them back-to-back years or back-to-back weeks one year, or at least there was a bye in between or something. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, they didn't do it to us this year, but I know there's been a couple of years where like the Panthers will have Falcons, insert random team Falcons, or Saints, insert random team Saints. It's like I hate when they do that.
Well, yeah, interdivision especially.
Yeah,
Like,
I think they try to prioritize division races at the end of the year. So, more division games at the end means that, more drama, more intrigue. That's my guess. It is annoying as hell, though.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah.
I mean, at least we don't got to face Justin Jefferson until the end of the season.
End of the year, yeah. Alrighty, let's get to the preview of the AFC North. So this is a really. I wanted to start with this division because it's kind of really fun division to talk about. You got the Bengals who, would they go to the AFC Championship?
Yeah.
Last year or right before that. Yeah. So yeah, always a fun team to talk about with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. You've got the Ravens who have got a newly minted Lamar Jackson contract, OBJ, some weapons around him, and some new excitement about that team. The Steelers and Browns who are who could be frisky depending on quarterback play, other factors, but this is a pretty good division to talk about, and so we're going to kick off our preview with the AFC North, and we've got all the Vegas kind of like win-loss lines in our doc here that we're looking at. And so we're going to start with talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. This isn't going to be like an in-depth thing where we're talking about all the transactions and everything. Kind of, you guys can look that up. You kind of understand where the Bengals are now after the draft, after, with their schedule, coming out, we kind of know what it looks like. So Vegas has their line at 11.5. Lexi, do you think they are going to be, their wins are going to be over or under that 11.5?
Yeah, I think it's going to be under. I had them at 10 wins. I still think, obviously they make the playoffs and got a good chance at running for the Super Bowl again, obviously with, the Burrow Chase duo, but I think 11.5 is a little high, just given that, their schedule they have.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule. But I'll say this: I think the Bengals have gotten a lot better. I like the moves they've made. Shoring up the offensive line was big time. Bringing in Antonio Brown there, and look, this was a really really good team last year. They were one really bad late hit out of bounds call away from potentially making the Super Bowl. They are, and hell, they were in the Super Bowl the year before. So this is a team that is competing at that high level. And considering they got better, I don't see them dipping. Especially with how young they are too. So I'm gonna go over. I know it's a lot. I probably wouldn't bet on it just because a lot of bad stuff can happen. Joe Burrow could get hurt. Knock on wood. But if all goes if all goes according to plan, I think the Bengals hit that over.
Yeah, the Bengals are going to be a good team. I'm not really worried about them, competing even in the AFC North. Um, made some good moves in the offseason. I have confidence that they'll be able to continue. But I'm going to give uh, the line a slight under, and that's just because I think they play. I mean, the first place schedule plus their division, you're going to lose some games in there just because of how tough your division is now, especially compared to last year when you were dealing with a Ravens team that had injuries, and then a Browns team who, it was Deshaun Watson's first year back in like however many years or months or whatever it's been. So you expected those two teams to not do as well. Now I think both of those teams are going to be better. So I think 11.5 is a little bit high for me. I would say a slight under of like 11 when sounds about right. I could even be talked into 10, but um, but yeah, I think the Bengals are going to be fine. Just I like them. I feel better at that 11 number rather than saying they'll win 12 or 13 games. Um, all right, so we got for the Bengals, their line's 11.5. Me and Alexi are under. Bobby's going to take the over, and let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens, who, again, Lamar's got his money. Um, they've got OBJ, Zay Flowers. They drafted in the first round to help out that passing game. They've also made changes to the coaching staff to help install the offense as well and get everyone acclimated. And hopefully, the Ravens, who are sort of you know, had some great regular seasons, but still trying to, get over the hump in the playoffs. Trying to make some noise this year. So, uh, Bobby, uh, tell me if you think there will be over or under their line, which is at 9.5.
Um, Man, that's tricky because I think their performance last year with the injuries and the weird Lamar contract haze, getting that out of there is going to be so big for the Ravens. Um, but I think I might trend a little under here. I think they're solid, but I don't think they're quite in that next tier. It's just a little too high for me. It's just teetering, and I'm going to trend under.
So I actually have them at 10 games winning. Normally, like if it was any other situation, when I say like a quarterback gets paid, I'm like, okay, wait for them to lay a big egg. But Lamar worked himself for this, like him, whatever. Like he didn't just get to sit here and let some agent take it. I feel like he's not going to take it for granted as much. Like he really went through hell to get this. So I don't think it's going to be like a skip. And like you said, now that this air is cleared, he's been given some more weapons. They did pretty decent in the draft. I think he's going to go off this year. I think he's going to have another MVP type season, even. And I'm excited for him. I'm excited to watch it. It's going to be probably a team I watch a lot this season.
Yeah, that they're definitely gonna be a team to watch for sure. But I'm gonna go under. Again, I'm gonna say it a lot here. Tough division, and then I'm looking at the Ravens' schedule, and their schedule is not that brutal, but they do play a lot of tough games on the road, right? So um, their first three division games are going to be on the road. Then you have to play the Titans, which the Titans, who knows what they're going to be, but like they're normally pretty frisky, sort of like a team that can win or lose on any given Sunday. You never know, and you have to go play them on the road. Um, then you go and play the Chargers on the road, who we know are going to be a good team. The Jaguars on the road, who are expected to be a playoff team again. The 49ers on the road later in the season. Um, and so I just don't love all those tough road games. Um, and then, hopefully you're able to handle business at home and you have easier opponents. They do have some easier opponents to face at home and hopefully win. But I mean, they've. I think it's gonna be hard this year. I think this is gonna be a interesting to see how quickly the receivers and Lamar adjust to everything that's kind of being thrown at them in terms of this new offense and everything like that. So I think the biggest key for them this year is going to be how does the team adjust to the coaching. If it's a fast adjustment, then I think they'll win more games than people expect. But I could see them, being under, slightly under, maybe 9 or eight wins. But I could see them being like that, a wild card team. But I just have trouble, really seeing them go over that 9.5 just because of the way their schedule was set up, and then all the changes that are happening for them this year. All right, great. Well, let's move on. Oh, Bobby, did you go?
I did go. I did.
Bobby said under. Yeah, Bobby went under. Okay. All right, let's move on to the Cleveland Browns, whose over under is set at 8.5. Who wants to go first on the Cleveland Browns?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go
I
ahead.
can go.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm slamming the under on the Browns. I'm not a believer in Deshaun Watson. That organization just stinks to me. It reeks of. It's not gonna work. I just feel it.
It's Yeah, I feel like it's like rotting from the inside out. And I don't just say that because it's Ohio or whatever, but like I have zero faith in this whole Deshaun Watson thing. I was sickened by it when it happened. And I just don't think he's that good. For all the money he's got, it's like, what are you doing? Like Jacoby's probably gonna produce more for you, but um yeah, I'm definitely slamming the under right there. I don't believe him at all. I even adding, the Wolverines they did in the draft this year. It's just not going to be enough. And I mean, I think that their divisions they're going to be one of the lower ones in there, so it's going to be a tough just even with division alone for them. I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, division is going to play into all these teams. But I'm actually taking the over on the Browns for sort of opposite reasons of the Ravens. So the Browns, you've got another year with Deshaun Watson under Stefanski and that coaching staff, and everyone was like Deshaun. Everyone had all this hype about Deshaun last year, and I was like, this man has not played football in like almost 2 years. He's not going to be anything close to what he was before he stopped playing. Like that's just it's football's not a sport where you can just walk away for a couple of years, come back and be Joe Montana. That's not going to happen. So I feel like this year we're going to see a better Deshaun Watson. Maybe still not as good as he was before, but I think we're going to see a better Deshaun Watson because he's got his legs under him. He's back in rhythm. Another year under the offense. I think Kevin Stefanski is still a very good coach. I don't think any of that has changed. And again, opposite of the Ravens, a lot of the Browns' tougher games they're going to have at home. So, it's literally almost like a weird opposite. Like the Ravens have to play Tennessee on the road. Browns get them at home. The Ravens have to go play the 49ers on the road. The Browns get them at home. The Browns will get the Jaguars and the Jets at home. So some of these tough games, like if they can take care of business at the dog pound, I think they'll win. Again, not way more, maybe slightly more than 8.5. I would say them more 9, maybe 10. But yeah, I like the Browns. I like the Browns this year to be maybe a dark horse wild card.
And I will say that's one thing about the AFC North that we haven't really thought about is they're matched up with the NFC West with their for their out of conference games. So brutal division to be matched up with, having to play the likes of the Seahawks and the Niners, and even the Cardinals can give you a scare every once in a while. So that's pretty tricky.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough year, and we're going to get to this later. It's the reason why I think only a couple of teams are going to come out of this division for the playoffs. But yeah, I think the AFC North is going to be a very tough group of teams this year to play. and to in terms of what they have to go out and do, it's going to be a big year for them. Um, all right, let's move on to the over unders. The last team in the division is Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team where there's so many questions. Like, is Kenny Pickett the guy? Um, you know, is the defensive talent going to be enough to overcome, what may be lacking on offense? What's going to happen now? A lot of questions with this team. Bobby, Lexi, you go ahead first. Give me the over under for the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under here. Just like you said, I just think there's just too many questions right now, and I mean, I think that the possibility of Tomlin getting that all together is pretty high. He's a great coach, but there's just the schedule's not easy. There's a couple gimmies in there that could be easy for them, but other than that, it's pretty rough. So I'm definitely hitting the under. I'd say even maybe like 7 games winning. It's gonna be rough. They're not gonna make the playoffs, I don't think.
So remind me the over under because I don't have the. It's all good.
Sorry. My Yeah, the line is at 8.5.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, I'm having one of those no good, very bad days. But that's a little too far for me. I'm gonna go under. I know I don't even know if mathematically that makes sense to have almost everyone but the Ravens be under, but that's just a little bit too high. I do not believe in that offense and what Pickett has going on. It could break right. They have a really solid base. They're not a very sexy team. They're very meat and potatoes, just the way that Pittsburgh likes it. They're French fries in your sandwich. They're just trying to get sustenance. But that wins games. Will it win 9 games? I don't think it does.
Yeah,
I want
oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I really think we need to like describe offenses by foods because that would be really good. I was like, that's a Skyrim meal right there. That's the Steelers offense. Anyways, keep going.
That's so funny. Um, no, I think the Steelers. I would never put real money on a Steelers win loss line because Mike Tomlin will always find a way to be 500 or better. So, like,
Right.
as bad as I think the Steelers might be this year, I'm not gonna actually bet on this because Mike Tomlin's just like one of those coaches that refuses to lose, which ultimate respect for. But yeah, I think the Steelers are gonna be under this 8.5. I just feel like, again, everything we've said, the opponents, the division, Kenny Pickett, to me, I just don't see it with him. I think they're going to really have to. They're what they have on offense. I know Najee Harris is there. I know they've got some good weapons at receiver with Deontay Johnson and some other guys there, but um, I'm just not really seeing the enough to be convinced that they're going to be able to um, outgun teams in their own division, particularly the Ravens and the Bengals. And I think that's gonna be what it comes down to in terms of hitting that over with such a tough group of opponents that they have to face. So I'm taking the Steelers under. And again, it might not be that much under. It might be 8 games or whatever under 8.5. But yeah, I'm not a believer in the Steelers this year. So yeah, I'm mashing the under for sure. Um, so just as a quick recap, uh, so the Bengals over under was 11.5. Bobby took the over. Lexi and I took the under. The Ravens, their line was 9.5 wins for the season. Um, myself and Bobby took unders. But Lexi took the over on that. The Browns line was 8.5. I took the over. Bobby took the under. Lexi took the under. And then all three of us took the under on the Steelers line, which was 8.5 wins. So we'll have to come back to that at the end of the year later on for that when we do all these division previews for sure. Okay, so we got a couple more questions though to preview the AFC North. This is sort of like a fun one. So, who do we think will be the MVP of the AFC North?
Taking my boy Lamar. I think Lamar is gonna really have a great year, so he's gonna be league MVP.
Yeah, from just a sheer numbers perspective, I could see Lamar going out and getting it, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with just good old classic Joe Burrow. I think he has the weapons, he has the skill, he has been just so unflappable in his career, and I don't see him dipping. I think he's on an upward trajectory, which is crazy given how good he's been. I think he has just one of those jaw dropping seasons and might get the real MVP, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, good, can't really argue with either of those answers. You can definitely see both of those things happening. I'm going to double down on, I guess, a guy that I've already talked about a little bit, and that's Kevin Stefanski. So, going to give the MVP to the Browns coach, who won Coach of the Year when he got the most that any coach has ever gotten out of Baker Mayfield a couple years ago, and took the Browns to the playoffs. But I think Stefanski's going to have another one of those another great coaching season for the Browns to get back to the playoffs again, and I think he can do it. So I'm giving my AFC North MVP to Kevin Stefanski. And then on that note, who do we think is going to win the AFC North this year?
Well, that'll be the Cincinnati Bengals because they're the only team I basically went over on. Uh, I think they're out for revenge. They had a tough end to last year. I think they were pretty humbled after the whole Burrow head, all that. And then falling short in Arrowhead in KC. I think they're out for revenge, and they're out for getting that Lombardi trophy. So I think it'll be the Bengals.
Yeah, I got the Bengals in last. I mean, first place too. I think the Bengals are going to win the division. Still, I think just team wise, just all around, a little bit better. I don't think they're going to be as dominant maybe as last year, but they'll definitely win.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens. I might be having too much, but I think in the same aspect of what Bobby said, though, the whole revenge thing. I mean, people just spit on Lamar's name for like the last like 2 years, like not being able to get this. He's taken so much crap from the media, Twitter, everything, and it's like he's got it all settled. He's got his weapons, and now he's going to be like, all right, I'm going to show you what's up. So it's going to be a battle though, because I love Joe Burrow and I like the Bengals a lot, but. It's going to be either one of those two teams, but I think the Ravens come out on top.
All right. And on the opposite end, who comes in last place in the AFC North? I'll go ahead and give my answer. The Steelers. Again, I just think I don't really believe in their quarterback situation. Um, and it won't be like a really bad record. I think again, Mike Tomlin wins too many games for the record to be bad, but I think the Steelers are going to be the ones getting beat up by all these tougher teams, and then of course, they've got to face these tough AFC West schedule and some frisky other teams as well. So, I mean, excuse me, NFC West schedule, and then some frisky other teams as well. So, I'm taking the Steelers to be last place this year.
Browns for me. I think it's going to be very disappointing. But I said the Steelers might be right there too. It's kind of like hilarious how it's like the top two, bottom two. But yeah,
I
Browns
think
for
it's
me.
going to be narrow between the Browns and the Steelers, but the Steelers just narrowly get ahead of the Browns because they have a tie instead of a loss. Because I feel like it's always the Steelers who are involved in this situation, making it really difficult to make the math work because they got a tie in like week 4. So that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I hate
Mike
ties so much.
Mike Tomlin has to be the coach with like the most ties in NFL history. Like,
I'm
I
actually
I have a
curious.
fantasy league that counts ties as points. I don't know how it's a long story, but Mike Tomlin's always the first coach off the board because he gets all the ties.
yeah, yeah. That's funny. All right, so um, final question to wrap up. the AFC North preview, and you know, um, this we have to sort of keep track mentally of these answers because eventually, we're gonna have to come up with, um, our playoff teams, in all those predictions. So really think about like this answer here because it's the math is gonna have to add up for the rest of these previews. Um, how many teams will come out of the AFC North and make the playoffs this year? Um, I'll go start. I have two. I think the Bengals, obviously, they'll win the AFC North. I have them making the playoffs. And then I think um, the Browns will be the other one. Like I said, sneaky wild card um, type team. I think, let me go back to look at their schedule. I want to see if they play the Ravens late in the season. But yeah, their games against Baltimore will be pivotal. Okay, yeah, their last division game is going to be at Bengals, so yeah, that could be definitely a game that decides something in terms of them getting to the playoffs. They'll also have the Jets at home and the Texans before that, so yeah. But yeah, I like both the Bengals and Browns to make the playoffs this year.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Bengals and Ravens. I think the Ravens will, definitely have a bounce back year. Maybe not as great as like I still have them in the under, but I think they'll make the playoffs, get that wild card slot. I think it's going to be a really thrilling race there. And then obviously the Bengals win the NFC or AFC North. My bad. Yeah,
Yep, I'm right there too. Except for Ravens winning it, but it'll be the Ravens and Bengals making it.
All right, so we each got two teams coming out of the AFC North to make the playoffs. Um, so we all think the Bengals make it. Bobby, Lexi, you got the Ravens, I got the Browns, but interesting to see kind of what happens.
Can't wait to compare all these, like
I
when the
know.
playoffs come.
Yeah, like end of the
And
year,
how wrong we all are.
middle of the year.
yeah, do like a midway and then right before the play, like when the playoffs.
Kenny Pickett's the MVP. What?
Oh my god! I will
oh my
say.
god.
Oh gosh! All right. Well, it's been fun, y'all, doing this preview. Super excited. Guys, stay tuned for the next preview. You don't want to miss it. You know what to do. Like and subscribe so you can see the content that's coming because football's ramping up and we got so much good content coming in. But it was fun doing this, and we'll do it again soon. Lexi, Bobby, thanks for chatting football with.
Always, man.
Of course.
Of course, good to see you, man.
Thank you.